Let's talk about one of the most incredible things that humans do. And nope, it's not building rockets or discovering new planets. It's something every single one of us does, almost without thinking. We learn to talk. It's this amazing mystery that unfolds in every home, all across the globe. So today, we're diving headfirst into the absolute miracle of how a baby's brain learns its first language.
I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. There are no textbooks, no grammar lessons, no vocabulary lists. And yet, in just a handful of years, a tiny baby goes from just crying and cooing to creating these incredibly complex sentences, understanding jokes, and telling you stories. So, how? How is that even possible? Well, that's the big question we're going to unpack together. The amazing linguist Noam Chomsky, well, he just nailed it with this analogy. We don't sit down and teach a toddler the physics of walking, right? Their body is just kind of programmed for it, and when they're ready, they just get up and go. Chomsky's whole point was that language works the same way. It's not really something we're taught, it's more like this innate biological program that just boots up.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the idea of the pre-wired brain. Then, we'll follow a baby's journey from their first babbles to full sentences. After that, we'll jump into the huge debate about how this all happens. And finally, we'll compare it to learning a second language, which really drives home why the first one is such a miracle. All right, first up, the language miracle, and this fascinating idea of the pre-wired brain. This is the theory that babies don't just show up as empty vessels. No, they come into this world already equipped and ready to tackle language. So, where's the proof for this pre-wiring? Well, get this. Studies show that just days after being born, infants already prefer the sound of a human voice over any other sound. And even more specifically, they prefer their own mother's voice. It's like they're already tuned in to the most important channel in their new world, people talking. But, that begs the question, how in the world do we know what a newborn baby is thinking? We know thanks to this ridiculously clever method called high-amplitude sucking. So researchers give a baby a special pacifier that's hooked up to a computer to measure how fast they're sucking. When a baby hears something interesting, they suck faster and harder. Once they get bored with the sound, their sucking slows way down. But then, if you play a new sound and they can tell the difference, bam, the sucking rate shoots right back up. It's like a direct line into an infant's brain showing us what they find interesting. Okay, so babies are born ready to listen. But what's the actual path they take? Let's trace this incredible linguistic journey from those first cute coos all the way to real sentences. And what's amazing is that this journey follows a pretty universal timeline no matter where you are in the world. Around 4 to 6 months, you get babbling. It's simple at first, but by 6 to 8 months, it turns into what we call reduplicated babbling. Those classic ba ba ba, da 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 sounds. Then comes the huge milestone. Around their first birthday, the first real word usually appears. And by about 18 months, they start stringing two words together. It's an incredible progression. Now, here is something absolutely mind-blowing about this early stage. Babies have a superpower that all of us adults have lost. At birth, researchers say infants are citizens of the world because they can actually hear and tell the difference between sounds from every single language on Earth, even ones they've never ever heard. And this classic study shows you exactly how that superpower fades. So, researchers tested babies learning English on a sound contrast that's used in Hindi but not in English. And you can see it right here. At 6 to 8 months old, the English learning babies had no problem hearing the difference. But look what happens by 10 to 12 months. Their ability to hear that non-English sound just tanks. They're no longer universal listeners. Their brains are already specializing, tuning into the specific sounds of English. It's wild. So as the brain gets specialized with sounds, grammar starts to pop up. It starts with what's called the one word or holophrastic stage. A single word, like juice, can mean a whole sentence, like I want some juice, or look, there's the juice. Then, around 18 months, you get the two-word stage, with little combos like mama juice. And from there, it expands into the telegraphic stage. Just like an old telegram that you paid for by the word, kids use only the most important content words, baby, Allison, comb, hair. All the little connecting words are just left out. Okay, so this all begs a huge question. Is a child just a really, really good parrot, just imitating phrases they've heard? Or is something way deeper going on? Are they actually figuring out the hidden rules of grammar? Well, a brilliantly simple experiment called the WUG test finally gave us the answer. All right, you can play along here. Here's how it goes.
A researcher shows a kid a drawing of this funny little bird-like creature and says, "This is a wug." Simple enough. Then they show a picture with two of them. And then they ask the child, "Now there are two," and they wait. Now think about it. The child has never in their life heard the word wugs, so they can't be imitating anything. And yet, almost universally, kids will fill in the blank and say, wugs. This is huge. It proves without a doubt that they're not just mimicking. They figured out the English rule for making things plural, and they can apply it to a word they've never seen before. They are active rule learners. So we know what happens, and we know kids are learning rules, but the million-dollar question is still how? How does this all work? And that brings us to one of the biggest debates in all of linguistics. At its heart, this is the classic nature versus nurture debate, and it's been going on forever, all the way back to the ancient Greeks. So on one side, you've got the nativist camp, think Plato, who believed we're born with certain ideas already baked in. In this case, an innate ability for language. And on the other side, you've got the empiricists, like Aristotle, who argued we're born a blank slate, and everything, including language, has to be learned from the world around us. In the 20th century, this argument was really personified by two heavyweights. B.F. Skinner, the famous behaviorist, said language is just verbal behavior. You learn it through imitation and getting rewarded. A kid says milk, they get milk. Simple. But Noam Chomsky came back and said, no way. He argued that the language kids actually hear is a total mess. It's incomplete, it's full of errors. He called it the poverty of the stimulus. He said there's no way a child could learn the complex rules of grammar just from that. So he proposed that we're all born with a universal grammar, a kind of blueprint for language in our brains, and all we need is a little exposure to the environment to switch it on. Of course, today, the debate is a lot more nuanced. Most modern theories find a middle ground. You've got interactionists who say, okay, yeah, there's probably some innate stuff, but social interaction is absolutely critical. They focus on things like child-directed speech, that high-pitched, sing-songy voice we all use with babies. Then there's connectionism, which suggests there aren't any rules at all. Instead, language just emerges from the brain's massive neural network, figuring out statistical patterns in all the language it hears. Okay, for our last section, let's talk about something that many of us have struggled with, learning a second language as an adult. Because when you compare that experience to what a baby does, you really start to appreciate what a true miracle first language acquisition is. I mean, just think about the learners themselves. They couldn't be more different. Your first language acquirer, your L1, is an infant. Their brain is still being built. They have no idea what a verb or a noun is, and for them, learning to talk is a matter of survival. It's how they get their needs met. Compare that to the second language learner, the L2. They're older, their brain is fully formed, they can consciously think about grammar rules, and they've already got a whole other language to fall back on. And yet, for all those differences, there are some really fascinating parallels. First off, both need input. You just can't learn a language if you never hear it. Both types of learners also rely on memorized chunks, like learning "I don't know" as one whole piece before they understand the individual words. And, just like in the WUG test, both overgeneralize rules. A little kid might say mouses or good, and an adult learning Spanish might apply a verb rule in a place where it doesn't quite fit. It shows that both processes are about figuring out a system. So when you put it all together, the big takeaway is just, wow. In a few short years, an infant's brain transforms from being a universal listener, open to any sound from any language, into a highly specialized expert in their native tongue. They accomplish this incredible feat of grammatical engineering without a single lesson. It's nothing short of a miracle. And this all leaves us with one final, pretty inspiring thought to chew on. The miracle of learning our first language shows us that the human brain is, at its core, a learning machine. It's literally built to find patterns and create complex systems out of chaos. So if that incredible power is our biological birthright, what does that say about our potential to learn, to grow, and to master new things at any age?